I think modern dating has just fallen off of a cliff. Did you know that during the Roman times, whenever someone wanted to go into a divorce, they would lock the couples inside of the room? They had one bed, one plate, and one cup, and they were forced to share everything for 2 weeks. Now, if over this time period after the time period, they still wanted to divorce, then they can go ahead and proceed. Throughout this time that they practiced this, it was done through the church, there was only one divorce which was recorded. Now, I really think in today's day and age, we have so much dopamine stimulation. If you don't know about dopamine, it's really important that you start to take your own time to start to research more about it because you're going to understand how your brain works. Basically, at the end of the day, we are constantly searching and striving for dopamine. And by doing so, it should give us productive results. But our day and age, we have created our society to create comfort and create instant gratification and stimulation. And this isn't healthy. It's not created an environment where our brain would think that it's doing something good. Instead, it's just sitting there eating junk food like pizza every day and watching movies and smoking and drinking. And it's just like more dopamine, high dopamine activity. So if we were living in the wilderness 10,000 years ago, you don't have access to any of these things. So where do you get dopamine? For example, you go wandering in the wilderness and you find a river. You get such a sense of excitement and joy and you're jumping up and down. Woo, we found a water supply, dopamine. Dopamine is used to keep you motivated and it's used to keep you focused on long-term goals. It's not really meant to make you happy. Dopamine isn't happiness. After you've taken the action, most people will find they're not really happy there. It's more so the anticipation. Thinking about Christmas often feels better than the day actually they're opening the presents, which is great, but it's very fleeting. And that's what dopamine is. It keeps us going for that next thing. So after we found the water supply, we feel great. Dopamine hits. The memory's marked, motivation to keep going. Now we should go and find shelter. And now we should go and find food supply. We found buffaloes, a big herd, lots of dopamine spikes up. We feel great. These are productive actions that we're taking, and our brain is reinforcing these actions because it receives dopamine, so it knows we're doing good things. Now take this ancient machine, our brain, perfect machine for living in the wilderness 10,000 years ago, and bring it into today's day and age. Now, when your brain is feeling stressed out, it will create a dopaminic urge, and you will go and search out dopamine in your environment, which 10,000 years ago might have been, hey, one of your children was ate by a lion, so now you feel extreme amount of stress. So you'll go down and you will destroy trees until you create a more perfect shelter. And that would give you a sense of dopamine because you feel better, the dopaminic urge, because you're taking productivity and you're working. Nowadays, it's like we just had something. We have a dopaminic urge. Let me go and smoke. Now I feel better. Let me go and drink. Now I feel better. Let me go and watch something that's bad online, dirty materials. Now I feel better. All of these activities which we're taking, our brain is reinforced by dopamine that it's done something good, that it's been good for us, but that's not the case whatsoever. All that we've done is we've created the illusion that these instant gratifications are actually productive for us, but because our brain is used to thinking that it's an environment from 10,000 years ago and doesn't know, to avoid these pitfalls, we're stuck, many of us, like dopamine addicts. So what happens when you're in a relationship and you're with someone and suddenly holding your hand is like the most boring thing that you can do? Or sitting there and engaging with this person in conversation isn't more gratifying than going and watching a movie and scrolling on your phone at the same time. So we have these couples where, hey, how many of us are in the same house but we're on social media all the time? Because social media is instantly more gratifying than enjoying the company of our partner. So we have to get back almost to like our primitive mindset and eliminate our environment so all these high dopaminic activities are gone. So suddenly the low dopaminic activities like being with a partner and enjoying somebody else's company genuinely start to become more rewarding and we can appreciate them more. So most modern dating sucks because most people don't understand this. So they're constantly sitting there with somebody who's like, hey, why don't you put me first? You know why they can't put you first? Because literally they are just a product of their habits and their brain is just doing what it's programmed to do. We're not that complex. We're actually quite basic if you go and study us. Of course, we're extremely complex. I overgeneralize when I say that. It's just to the point now. Right now with what I'm saying is that this person, they're not ignoring you. Their brain is just searching out dopamine. And that phone right there and watching the next video on WorldStar or scrolling to Facebook and giving the next like or finding the next cute picture on Instagram, it is providing them more reward than if the reward they were to receive from your company. Now, once you start to leave and you pull back, then they feel that they're going to lose that outlet or that source. And even if it wasn't there, something that they're focused on at the time, now it becomes their number one importance because fear of loss. So we end up in these relationships where it's like we don't focus with the person that we're with, because they don't really provide us the pleasure, because there's so many other more stimulating and gratifying activities that we can be doing. And then when we do engage with this person, it's not very rewarding at all. It's actually kind of boring in comparison to other things that we could be doing, so it's trivial. And when you're trivial in a relationship with somebody, and I mean this long term, of course, when you first start going out with someone, it's such high dopamine because it's the thrill and novelty of being with somebody new. But once the honeymoon phase fades off, you'll find out 2, 3, 4, 5 years go by. My friend was telling me about how he has an aunt, never drank, never smoked, never did absolutely anything. She had very few partners, extremely religious, very low dopamine her entire life. And her partner would meet up every single, he passed away, they would meet up every single afternoon to walk together, to sit at a park and sit on a bench and sit there and talk, and they enjoyed each other's company so much. Now, what happens when you make one of them an alcoholic? Suddenly, well, they have their priorities a little bit different. So modern dating really has taken a big hit, and it's just because we have so many high dopamine activities that our relationships really aren't that important to us, and they only are when we fear that fear of loss, that it's leaving. And then once it's back inside of our environment and we know it's there whenever we want to, it's just like, okay, it's one of my toys that I have. I'm happy to have my toy, but I don't really want to play with my toy now, unless another kid wants to take my toy away from me, because I have so many other toys that are more instantly gratifying, like video games. So why would I want to play with this stuffed animal that loves me so much, and I love this animal so much, but my video games are more rewarding? And I used to love this stuffed animal, but my video games are now so much more rewarding. Give me my stuffed animal and leave it there. But if somebody else touches it, oh, give me my stuffed animal. It's our relationships that we're going through now. Aside from the entire process being gamified, now it's like you can go onto these dating apps and swipe left, swipe right, swipe left, swipe right. And the conversations, the foundation, everything that's created, it's so wishy-washy because you can gamify the experience and just next, 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 go out on a date, next. And there's no real concrete foundation or growth. That's why when I start going out with a girl, I want to be the one to approach. And I want to ask her, hey, are you on dating apps? No, I've never really used them. I don't like dating apps. Good. I don't want to be with a girl who's addicted to a dating app, because just as quick as I came, just as quick as I can go. I want commitment. I need to know that you're not just sitting here tossing partners left and right, because the person that I choose to be with, it's going to be very carefully done. So I would hope that you would do the same, and you can't do that with these dating apps. The best relationships are still going to be made going out and talking to someone and having a genuine connection because you're genuinely interested in them. See your favorite band, an unknown band, and the girl's wearing that shirt, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's been my band for this many years. It's good of you to go and reach out and try and talk to her, because that could be someone you are compatible with. Don't search for chemistry. Too many relationships are based on attraction. That's where people get burned. You need to focus your relationship on the most important fundamental, and that's compatibility. If both of you know effective communication, for example, that's like the foundation of a strong relationship, and you have that compatibility, you can grow. But you'll never be able to do that if you don't create a filter. So the message of this video basically is, if you want to have a good relationship, find a partner that is low dopamine activities, right? They're not overstimulating themselves 24/7. You want to have somebody who has a grounded basis so that they can enjoy your company and make you a priority in their life. That's definitely a must. You want to find somebody who, this is a little bit offbeat here, but make sure you look at their family ties. Make sure you look at their room. Make sure you look at how there is their dating experience. Are they going and using all these dating apps? Those are the only things that I really care about. Those 4 things that I just said right now are the most important. The family ties is very important, because if the mom and dad fight all the time, they haven't been together since the person was a kid, subconsciously they're going to try and recreate that environment, right? So family ties is huge. The room that they're in.